I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the 30-30. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I am your host, Wayne, and believe it or not, I am joined by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. She had some technical issues. It would not be a live episode of Paranormal Odyssey if we did not have some sort of technical issues. So she and Mr. Tiffany are backstage working on it, trying to get their stuff squared away. Our guests are backstage as well. So I promise you we will bring you a full show. But I'm going to start things off for us until she gives me the signal that she's ready to come on. All right. I hope everyone is doing well out there. Loretta Fox, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Miss Naoma, how are you doing, ma'am? Hadn't talked to you in a while. Hope that you are doing well. Troy, my buddy Troy, what's up, bud? And Mr. Brian, Sasquatch Odyssey host himself, hanging out with us. All right. I'm going to jump into all of this good stuff. As Brian says, pay some bills. If you guys have not done so already, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. We would absolutely appreciate that. Not only hit that subscribe button, but share us around. Tell your family and your friends. Help us to continue to grow the show. We are absolutely heading in the right direction, but got a ways to go. If you've had an encounter and would like to come on and share it with us, all you got to do is shoot one of us an email, either Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. Comes to either one of us, just whichever one you would rather talk to about setting up your encounter, setting up your episode. Doesn't matter which one, we can both get you set up. So if you've had an encounter with anything weird, we would love to talk to you about that. Said it a million times. I'll continue to say it, especially Bigfoot and Dogman, all the cryptids. The best way that we have to learn about these things right now is through eyewitness encounters. If you have seen something, say something. Obviously, we don't have any of these things in captivity, and if the government does, they're not sharing it. So the best way for us to learn about them is to listen to people that have witnessed them in their own environments and all that stuff. So it's guys, it's very important. If you have seen something and you're able, I understand it, it can be traumatic. If you're able to say something, please get in touch with us.
Oh, hold on. You can. They know what's
going on. Are you with us?
For right now.
For right now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out. If you want to mute your mic, and I'll get us finished out.
Nope.
Okay, guys. So yeah, as I was saying, if you've had an encounter, email either Tiffany or myself, paranormalworldproductions.com. Also, want to ask everybody, head over to paranormalworldproductions.com, our website. Show some support to all of the other shows under the studio's umbrella. Pick up some merch. That would be awesome. It is the season for giving, Christmas time. So, yeah, share some Paranormal World Productions merch with your family and friends, and pick yourself up something up too. Paranormal Odyssey shirt would look good on you, I'm sure. Guys, if y'all have any questions tonight for our guests, Mr. Alex and Mr. Logan from Odd, Virginia are backstage. If you have any questions for them while they're on, please don't hesitate to ask. But if so, please put them in all caps. Makes it a lot easier for Tiffany to see them and get them on. And we always say it again. If you ask a question, it doesn't get put on. We just missed you, or it wasn't a good time in the show to ask. If a little bit of time goes by and we don't ask, type it out again if you don't mind. We're not missing you on purpose. Just but put it in all caps if you don't mind. Makes it a little bit easier. All right. I want to remind everyone about Manimal Research, my organization. We have the Facebook group over there. If you'd like to become a member, we would love to have you. Everybody's got a Facebook. Why not be a member of my Facebook group? Look up Manimal Research on Facebook and click that join button. And guys, as I was saying, it is the giving season for giving, Christmas. If you want to pick up some Reaper apparel merch, it's a unique gift item. I know a lot of people can be thrown off by the image of a Reaper, a Grim Reaper on your clothes, but guys, believe me, look into the company. They have a great meaning. It's they're basically saying tomorrow is not guaranteed for any of us. That how true is that? So that's what the Reaper is about. If you want to pick up some Reaper apparel, I've got a couple of shirts. I got a flannel. They have amazing stuff. Really, really cool stuff. If you pick some up, head over to Reaper. Let me take this down real quick. Sorry about that. Head over to reaperapparelco.com, pick you something out, and then at checkout, type in Paranormal Odyssey, and you will receive an extra 10% off. That way, you're getting yourself something cool at a discount, and you're helping our show at the same time. So if you can do that, we would appreciate it. Okay, it looks like I've got Tiffany. She's sitting there staring at me. Do we got you?
Well, it's been a rough week, and it's just Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hey, I did hear this funny story though. I've got to tell you.
Oh God.
So this man and this woman, they're married, and they went to the Holy Lands with his mother-in-law. Okay, so you see the relation there. Unfortunately, while they were at the Holy Lands, his mother-in-law passed away. Okay, so the undertaker came. I'm sorry for your loss. We can ship your mother-in-law back to the U.S. It'll cost you $5,000. Or we can bury her here for $150. And so the husband and the wife talk amongst themselves, and the husband says, well, we're gonna ship her back to America for $5,000. And he's like flabbergasted. And he's like, why would you pay $5,000 when we're going to charge you only $150 here in the Holy Lands? And he said, sir, 2,000 years ago, a man was buried here, and 3 days later, he arose. And he said, I'm not taking my chances. That was funny.
Yeah, but should I feel guilty laughing? I kind of do.
No, bro, I laughed so hard when I heard that. I was like, get out.
You're killing me. Naoma is asking to put something in the chat. What exactly are you talking about, ma'am? I might have missed that while I was doing my spiel, but if you can figure out what she's talking about, Tiffany, and see if we
I
can do that,
will.
I'd appreciate it.
Of course, I got you, man.
All right. Looks like our audience has grown since we started. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for spending your Tuesday evening with us. We always appreciate it.
Was it this
Before
one?
the link to your merch. Oh yeah, the our merch link. Can you find that?
Mm-hmm.
Go to our website and go to the merch section and just copy the link and put it in the chat. Do you mind doing that, ma'am?
I don't mind at all. I'm gonna
Okay.
mute myself and I will take care of that.
Thank you. While she is doing that, guys, I promise we're going to get to Alex and Logan here in just a minute, but I want to remind everyone about our memberships here for the channel. It's just $1.99 a month. You get access to all kind of extra stuff that you normally don't get. We already have a couple members only videos out there, and Tiffany and I have both been contacted and asked if we are ever going to at any point release those so that everyone can see them, and the answer is no. They're going to stay members only. That's just because if you guys are spending the extra $2 out of your pocket every month to help us, we're going to give you something that's just yours. And so, I mean, I hope that don't sound harsh. I don't mean for it to, but let's be honest, $2 ain't gonna kill many of us. So, and it means the world of difference to us. $2 is nothing for you, but you get enough people throwing $2 at you, it helps. It helps us to keep doing what we're doing, to keep updating our equipment, doing helps us put money into research and booking these guests and stuff like that. So it helps. Looks like she got the dang, you did that quick, Tiffany. But yeah.
I'm fast.
Thank
You
you
didn't
very
get
much.
no Pokey Joe Slowpoke.
But yeah, guys, I'm not going to beat you to death about the membership, but it would mean a lot to us if you could help out. I know that YouTube doesn't make it the easiest for you to become member. You can't do it from the app for some reason. That's what we all use is the app, but you got to go to the computer site. You can do it from your phone. You just got to be on the computer site and then click that join and $1.99. I think it's $2.08 that comes out, and that would help us out a lot. All right, Tiffany, tell us about Alex and Logan in Odd, Virginia.
I stumbled upon them, and I think it's awful that I had to just stumble upon them because this is where I grew up. And they remember we had James Burnett on out of Salem who does the same thing, and I just happened to stumble upon him. Alex has his own podcast. He has his own YouTube channel. And let me tell you, his podcast, get out. I mean, the audio is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It really is.
It is really like I'm jelly, bro. I want to sound that good. But then I heard when he had Logan on, and I was listening to that encounter. And then it was just like, I listened to that encounter, and then the next one, and then the next one. And it really became like this binging addiction, just really, really good stuff. And I had to bring them on because I think more people need to hear them, and granted, I mean, Logan was a guest, but he and Alex are friends, and but coming out of my home state, I'm going to represent people out of my home state, and for the quality.
Yeah, Brian's asking real quick what the name of the podcast is, and it's Odd Virginia, right?
Yes, Odd Virginia.
Yeah, Tiffany told me about the quality of the audio and told me I had to go over there and check it out, and I did, and she's not lying. The audio is phenomenal. He's doing a really, really good job over there.
Yeah, and I think more people need to know about it. They did just break And I was so excited when I saw it on YouTube. They did just break 200 subscribers. So please, please, please go over there and bump it up even more, because it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So I had to have them on.
All right. Well, after that ringing endorsement, I think we just need to go ahead and bring them on.
I would agree.
All right, everybody, let's welcome Alex and Logan to the show. Logan, it looks like you're muted, bud.
I believe he is currently in the car, possibly. He sent me a text message beforehand, said he wasn't home yet. So he may just be listening in for a little bit. But I'm very happy to be here, guys. And thank you so much for hyping up my show. I hope it doesn't disappoint anyone if they choose to hop over. We're kind of on a bit of a hiatus right now because I'm a worker elf for the Christmas season. So the shows are rolling out pretty slowly, but I really appreciate the compliments. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys can hear the audio right now on how crystal clear it is. And as Brian said on here, Brian, Alex, I don't know if you're familiar with Sasquatch Odyssey, but Brian is the host of that. Just crazy successful Sasquatch, probably like the second or third biggest Sasquatch podcast in the world. And he is the one that started Paranormal World Productions, who
okay.
Yeah,
I've absolutely heard the show. I love it. Anything Sasquatch is coming in one ear and staying in the cortex.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Brian said that great audio makes a difference, and I can attest to that, because when I got my start, when I came on with Brian, he walked me through, told me what kind of board to buy, which is the exact same one that he has, and then we got on a call, and he told me how to set it in, and the difference was night and day, and it really does make a difference. If you're going to do this, invest a little bit of money and get a good audio system.
Yeah, get a nice, cheap Shure microphone. They sound amazing, and you don't have to break the bank for it. Right. And something decent to listen back on to make sure it actually sounds good.
Absolutely. I got the Shure mic and the Shure headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I like them both a lot. All right, well, we will wait for Logan to get here, but before he does, Alex, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and tell us a little bit about Odd Virginia.
Sure. My name's Alex Koska. I host the Odd Virginia podcast, and I am a paranormal enthusiast. I've had some experiences of my own when I was very young and was just fascinated and also terrified. Kind of grew out of the terrified part, but I'm still very fascinated. So as someone who's sort of learned audio engineering from the ground up, I was really into music. And when COVID hit, there were just no recording clients. So I was like, I really want to do a paranormal podcast. I listen to them 24/7. So I just went ahead and went for it. And I like my show. It's not huge yet, but I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy all the stories and getting to meet people. So I've gotten to meet Logan in person after he found my show and became a guest. And we've gone out and done hikes together and checked out some of the locations that he went to and had his experiences. And that's probably what we're going to be getting into tonight here on Paranormal Odyssey.
Yeah, I'm here, guys.
Yay.
Hey, Logan.
Sorry about that. Sorry for the crazy introduction there. Sorry to interrupt you, Alex. But yeah, I am on the road, so I'm going to keep it on mute. But whenever you want to talk to me, I'll take it off.
Well, actually, Logan, if you can, I want you to, first of all, be safe if you're driving. That's the most important thing. But Alex just told us a little bit about how he got his start. If you want to take time and do the same thing, we would appreciate it.
Absolutely. My start in terms of my fascination with all this came just my dad saw what was legend says is the Mount Vernon monster, and recorded sounds from that time period, and that's what got me interested in the strange genre in general.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
I find that fascinating because I did a story time on the Mount Vernon monster out of a book that I picked up at Barnes and Noble, Monsters of Virginia by L.B. Taylor. So, and at the end, I mean, I had to question it because the way they described it, it was like a juvenile Bigfoot. The way it wailed and it was hairy and.
So Logan's dad was actually able to capture recordings of that while it was happening. I think
Really?
it was out of somebody's property. They had this wailing going on out in the woods in the back, and his father captured audio recordings of that.
Oh,
Alex, do you have an opinion of what it is, the Mount Vernon monster?
I mean, my opinion, Bigfoot. His opinion was Bigfoot.
Okay.
The general consensus was that it was Bigfoot. I mean, that was what. I mean, there were definitely rumors about maybe it being a peacock, but if you listen to these noises, it's not a peacock. So that's
definitely not a peacock.
All I got to say about that.
Are peacocks indigenous to Virginia?
There are people who have them out here. I don't think they're indigenous, though.
Yeah.
All right. No. All right. So, Alex, if you had, I think I know the answer to this, but if you had your ruthers of anything that you could look into, paranormal based, what would it be?
It would be the pale crawler phenomenon.
Okay.
I think those are incredibly interesting. Very, very scant as far as evidence or sightings, things like that. But it's one of those things where there's enough anecdotal stories, and we've even had a few on Odd Virginia, where I am extremely interested in it. And I've actually had a chance to go investigate that phenomena. One of our guests, once again, I got to know this person and went out to their farm in Tom's Brook and camped out overnight in the barn and never saw anything, but this person had sightings and gotten a photograph of one. So going out there and into that barn, which is also purportedly haunted, according to the people who live there and own it, it was an interesting experience just hearing how it seems like a very docile, rural, lovely little farmhouse and barn. And then at night, activity just starts picking up and it's constantly noisy. It was amazing.
Now, was this, you're talking about the pale crawler, was this a local in Virginia?
Yeah, it's probably about an hour drive from where I live right now, going north of Harrisonburg.
Okay. First question of the night from the audience comes from Brian. He wants to know what your opinion is on what it is, what a pale crawler is.
Well, the Algonquin legend of the Wendigo seems to match the best as far as emaciated humanoid, long spindly limbs, no ears or lips. Those sorts of things tend to match up. Of course, the Algonquin legends also talk about these things having hearts of ice and bringing winter when they come along, and that doesn't really match up. But I think there's a kernel of truth in those old stories, and I honestly have a hunch that it could be related to the spirit of the Wendigo, which is that creature or the spirit that possesses a human once they've committed an act of cannibalism, according to legend. I'm not sure that's necessarily what you need to do or the only thing you need to do to let it in, but perhaps that is what it is.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know a whole lot about the Wendigo. From what I've heard, they're not anything to be messed with. So that's interesting. Interesting. Now,
honestly, I think they might be a lot less dangerous than a lot of people think. Really? Most encounters I hear seem pretty banal. It's creepy to see, but they don't really do anything.
Okay. Now, this might be a dumb question, but someone like myself, I'm not that familiar with them. When I hear Wendigo, I also think Skinwalker. Is there a connection between the two, or what is the difference?
It's all dark magic, I suppose. I don't think they're the same thing whatsoever. And I do think that people who get really fascinated and enthusiastic about these things without doing thorough research will easily mix up those terms. You'll hear people call Wendigo the Rake all the time because of the creepypasta that came out back in 2013 or whatever. I kind of scoff at that, but I shouldn't really, because these people just haven't done the digging yet. They're still at that surface level and are mixing up a fantasy with what could possibly be a reality.
Yeah. Alex, out in Virginia, are you getting any reports or hearing any stories of the Dogman?
Very slightly, yes. Tazewell County is purportedly really big. We're talking Southwest Virginia, kind of straddling the line with Kentucky, West Virginia mostly. So there's a lot of crossover, especially with Bigfoot in those same areas. So that mountainous region more towards the south, definitely yes. And I've tried reaching out to people who know things about this and have done some digging, and have been met with some resistance. So I don't know too much, honestly.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So, have you heard enough to come up with an opinion, just your opinion on what we might be dealing with Dogman, or if they're even real in your
Boy,
opinion?
that one could be anything. I'm pretty much 98% convinced that they are a legitimate phenomenon. What they are is anyone's guess still. And people argue all the time. I mean, I'm on the Dogman subreddit in the little group chat there, and for a while it was interesting talking to people and getting to hear their opinions, but it's the same theories rehashed over and over again, and then people making fun of everyone else and separating into camps. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh,
you
isn't
know,
that
that
the
just got
truth?
old. Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? That's crazy.
Now, what about paranormal stuff? And some people might say it's all everything we're talking about tonight is paranormal, but
Mhm.
for me, I mean, maybe it's not correct, but I've always separated like cryptid stuff and like ghost stuff. Is that something you do, or is it all lumped in together as just one big paranormal umbrella?
Well, I'm kind of bent in the direction that pretty much all of this stuff is some sort of supernatural phenomenon. And the semantics of it's really weird because I think that the things that are supernatural or that we call supernatural are actually just perfectly natural phenomenon according to God's plan. Uh, but supernatural being things that are not normally considered to be natural by the vast majority of the population, right?
Do you have an opinion of what a Bigfoot is exactly?
I've got many opinions as to what a Bigfoot is. I don't have any. I don't have any, conclusion because I just don't have the proper evidence to make a 100% put my foot
None
down
of
and
us
die on the
do.
hill. I like the Nephilim idea. I think that one's great.
Okay. So that's where you're leaning towards.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I want to ask Logan the same question. If you're in a position where you can respond, Logan, what do you think a Bigfoot is?
I have no idea.
No idea. But you believe in
No
Bigfoot,
idea.
right?
Yes. And the more I find out about it, the more confused I am.
Absolutely, man. I've said the same thing. The more I've looked into the subject, 4 or 5 years now, I'm just as confused. I'm probably more confused now at having looked into stuff than I was, going into it. Going into it, you think you pretty much got it figured out, but start listening to people, and man, I'm more confused now than I ever was. What was that question from Brian? Brian is asking Alex, do you think Dogman could be, and this is a serious question, a misidentified kangaroo?
Absolutely not. I mean, in certain cases, sure, but not for the entirety of the phenomenon. No way.
Have you heard that? The people about the kangaroos in the U.S.?
Yeah, I've heard it.
That was a shocker to me. We did a show on it not that long ago at all, and we think maybe some of these cases, and certainly, like you said, not all of the big or Dogman cases are kangaroos. I don't think that, but I think it's possible that there has been some sightings of a kangaroo that has been misidentified.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
Well, and remember, because after that Bigfoot live podcast that we did, or that live on YouTube, I went the whole next day. Well, I didn't spend the whole day. That's a fib. But I was looking up information about kangaroos. I was looking at the pictures, and their little hands are splayed just like they're described in the Dogman sightings, and the really pointy ears, the glowing red eyes. And I was like, well, but then like you, I'm like, well, maybe not for the whole entire world. That's a lot of kangaroos.
That's true.
So yeah.
I'll just say that kangaroos also can't stand over 10 feet tall.
This is another good supporting piece of evidence.
Yeah, but when they're when they're bowing up, trying to be aggressive and everything, they're pretty damn intimidating. I mean, kangaroos are jacked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How many animals do you see with pecs in a six pack?
Yeah, for real. Looks like kangaroos are just working out when they're not doing whatever other kangaroo-y things that they have. When we're watching them, as soon as the humans are looking away, they pick up the dumbbells.
Like they're all in prison. That's all they have to do is just.
Well, Australia was a penal colony for a while.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's where they sent all the deplorables to get rid of them, and then it just became its own country.
Holy shit! Now look at that. Learning something.
I'm telling you.
That's awesome. So
but I have to make another important distinction: is the arm length of a kangaroo just can't size up to the reports.
Yeah.
That's important to consider too. The arm length.
Yeah, because some people
mini Tyrannosaurus Rex running around out there.
And there are some instances where people say that the arms are significantly longer than the back legs. So there's that.
Miss Naoma has a interesting point here. We have a cryptid here in my county in Tennessee that some people think is actually a Tasmanian tiger. It would be cool if it were. It's considered extinct. I saw something on those. Wasn't one spotted, a Tasmanian tiger? There's a picture of one that
they're only spotted in Tasmania. That's the catch.
Really? There wasn't any pictures here in the U.S.?
Then it wouldn't be Tasmanian.
Yeah, that'd be the Tennessee Tiger, right? Sounds like a great name for a football team too, Tennessee Tigers.
Yeah, you know what? The Titans were going to be the Tigers. There's going to be like the saber-tooth Tigers. When we first got the team from Houston, they used to be the Oilers, and then we bought them. They were talking about the name, and apparently there's been some fossils of saber-tooth tigers found in this area, so we were going to be the Tigers.
That's crazy. I'd love to see a saber-tooth tiger.
Yeah.
Skeleton.
We got a question from Buddy Troy. Have you seen the Scott Carpenter photo of what he described as a dog man? What do you think it is?
I've seen some Scott Carpenter photos, but it's always those blob squatch things that I've seen. It's pictures of trees with a red circle kind of thing.
Yeah, we don't need to get started on the red circles.
I do love Scott Carpenter. I'm not knocking him, but I just haven't seen anything that he's photographed that has convinced me that that's what that is.
The late Scott Carpenter.
Yeah,
we just lost him recently.
I
never met him. I never got a chance to interview him. I reached out to him one time and didn't hear back from him. But yeah, that was sad passing. I'll tell you some of the pictures that Scott Carpenter has is pretty damn creepy.
Yeah.
Some stuff that you just can't explain, or I can't.
What was creepy about it?
Just some of the pictures. I wish I had, if I'd known we were going to talk about Scott Carpenter, I would have looked some up. But he's had some pictures of these like distorted faces that he claimed were behind him. If I remember right, Scott Carpenter used to walk, and it's brilliant, and do his investigations with a backwards facing camera, like a GoPro turned backwards, so that you could see what was behind him. And I have adopted that strategy. When I go out, I do the same thing a lot of time. And that has allowed him to catch some pictures of some creepy stuff, man. Like distorted looking faces. My good friend Dr. John John Baranchuk, was a fan of his and his pictures, and he said they creeped him out. Some looked like what he would describe as a demon, and they're just creepy, man. Not Bigfoot at all, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It is an amazing strategy, but my main draw to Scott Carpenter was just literally him walking in the woods and talking, and it's like going on a hike with Uncle Scott, just
Yeah.
listening to him share his wisdom and his thoughts on things.
Yeah, that's really cool. He was just lived only about an hour and a half north of me, and I hadn't been in the field long enough to get to meet him, but I wish I could have.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be saying that about soon, I guarantee you.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Alex, do you have any stories that you've shared on your podcast, Odd Virginia, that stick out to you that were just creepy, that just bothered you, that you can share?
Well, sure. I haven't really told my personal experiences on the show so much as
Yeah,
it's
let's
more
have
about
that.
guests and
Let's have some of
eyewitness.
those.
But for me, when I was very small, I was living in Northern Virginia for the first about 7 or 8 years of my life, and I think I had just recently graduated from the crib to a twin size bed. So I didn't really know what to make of anything paranormal or supernatural because I was still so small. But I do recall getting out of bed one night after waking up and seeing in my closet. Ooh, there's a loop back going on there. Seeing in my closet, uh, all of the clothes hangers were swaying back and forth in unison, just completely on their own, like a pendulum swinging back and forth. And I walked up to it and just sort of scratched my head and went back to bed because I didn't know what to make of whatever that was. I'd asked my mom about it in the morning, and she said it was just the darkness playing tricks on my eyes. But growing up and thinking back on that, I'm like, the darkness has never played that kind of trick on me before. Like that was very, very tangibly real what I was looking at from point blank distance. And so, yeah, I grew up in Churchville most of my life, 98 and beyond. And when I was small, I was just absolutely terrified of all being alone, being in the dark. I just had to have some sort of comfort with me. And I thought, probably just psychologically, I was scared. I was a scaredy cat. But it always felt like a presence when I was alone by myself or somewhere that was really dark, just looming over my shoulder and feeling like it wanted me somehow, wanted to take something from me, whether it be my soul, my life, my sanity. I don't know, but it was scary feeling. And I had this looming over me for years and years and years, to the point where I couldn't even sleep in my own bedroom. I had to roll a sleeping bag out in the hallway outside of my sister's bedroom just to feel like I was safe. It was haunting. I went to the church and asked them to pray for me. We had all the deacons surround me in a prayer circle, and I would read my Bible going to bed every night. I would sing praise songs out loud and read Bible verses out loud, and nothing would make this go away. Absolutely nothing. Come about the time that I'm 13, 14, 15, 16, those teenage years where my parents will go out and do things for days on end, mini vacations, leave me home alone. My brother and my sister are both gone to college. So I'm like an only child living at this rural property out in the middle of the woods by myself, kind of a scary place to be. So I involved myself in just playing computer games to distract me from this feeling. And I would be up late at night playing computer games, absolutely loved them. And then I would start hearing whispers coming from upstairs. Freaked me out. The games that I was playing had no sound, which was a big mistake, because I could just keep on hearing these whispers. Don't know what they were saying, totally unintelligible, but just every now and then it was like, look behind me because I hear, I'm like, oh gosh. Turned on the TV in the living room and cranked that bad boy up, just like, this will drown it out. And that happened many times. Footsteps upstairs, things like that, phantom noises. And we had mice in the ceiling. I know what that sounds like, mice and squirrels hanging out in the attic. It was never that when I was freaked out. A mouse in the attic doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Then about when I was 16, this was when it kind of all culminated for me. We had a powder room with a little air canister, aerosol spray for air freshener. And I was taking a whiz, minding my own biz, and I look behind me, and this air canister is just like shaking like this on the counter. So I was like, that's weird. There's something going on in here with the chemicals that's causing some sort of reaction. So I pick it up and I can feel it shaking in my hand. I put it back down. It just stops. Go upstairs to the bathroom on another night, and same thing. I turn around and we have a glass, drinking cup that I rinse my mouth out with after brushing my teeth. It's on one side of the counter, and it just slides by itself about 3 or 4 feet, like a bartender sliding a drink across the counter to a patron. It was just like that. Very quick acceleration, and then it stops. And so I picked that glass up and I was just like, all right, that's enough. This glass goes here. Said it out loud. Nothing's happened since. At least not in that house, or what I think to me personally. I think there was some sort of attachment that I somehow willed away by doing that. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, and you talked about that feeling that you couldn't explain that led you to roll out a sleeping bag in the hallway and sleep out there, and it's just a feeling. I think there's something to that feeling. We've all had it, maybe not to the extent that you did, to where it was affecting your sleep and just your life. But I mean, I know I have, going out in the woods looking for Bigfoot. You get that feeling like, I'm not supposed to be there. I'm not supposed to be here.
Just feeling uncomfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people will say, like, you feel like you're being watched. I've certainly felt that feeling before, but we got to pay attention to that, man. I feel like that was given to us for a reason.
Yeah, on an instinctual level, I think that can be very useful, but I don't know what to do with it when I'm just trying to go to bed and I'm feeling it,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to
I can
get
relate there.
of the conversation. Logan, I want to ask you, you have any experiences that you want to share?
Well, I was just going to say that I can relate there. First, sorry, you guys got to remind me what we were just talking about on the highway.
Yeah, we're talking about the feeling that you get.
Okay, yeah. When I was a kid, I mean, even when I was a teenager, we had chickens, and every night I'd go out to put them away. I had no rhyme or reason to have this feeling, but I had it, and I would just start booking it back like as fast as I could back inside, because I thought it felt like something was in the woods watching me, and that's just a memory I have of that feeling. And when I was a kid, I haven't brought this up, but when Alex was talking about what he was talking about, it made me remember my parents put a freaking hook on my door and locked me in my room because I was going into their room so many times, scared of the dark.
Oh shit.
So like that's how big of a problem it was. And then I had I remember, like, it's kind of like Alex says.
Yes.
It's kind of like Alex says, like, you I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
It's got to be difficult to drive.
Yeah. Where was I going with that? If you can remind me.
You said it was like Alex said when you were talking about
feeling.
It's like it's hard to explain, which is probably why I'm having trouble right now. But like, it's just a looming feeling. You don't know exactly why you're scared, but you are scared, and it's a very strong sense that something is there to get you, but you've got no rhyme or reason to believe that.
I kind of giggled a little bit when you talked about taking off running into your house, because I've done that. I remember as a kid just getting that feeling like walking, it'd be dark outside and like, oh, shit, there's something behind me, and just taking off running for no reason. And I've interviewed people that this one lady lived in a haunted house there while she was in college, and she comes to mind when I think about it. But she talked about her boyfriend being over at this haunted house, and her and her roommates weren't there. He was her boyfriend. He just come and go. He came over and he was watching TV, and he got this overwhelming feeling that he was being watched and he needed to leave. So he got up and started to walk out. And as he went out the front door, for some reason, he just took off running, didn't go down the stairs, put one hand on the rail, the banister, and leaped over and ran and got in his car. He said the entire time he just felt like something was going to grab him from behind, and there was nothing there. He got to his car and looked back, and there was absolutely nothing there. But that feeling is so strong that you have to act on it. And I just don't know what that is.
And maybe there is something there that we just can't see.
In that case,
Almost like when you're going upstairs.
Yeah.
When you're going upstairs, you just know something is behind you and it is going to grab you. So you like haul ass up the stairs instinctively, and you're like, oh, I'm just kidding. Well, there's nothing there. But in that time frame, there's this big, dark, scary monster, and it is going to grab your feet, and you're going to die. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Alex, you got any more encounters that you wanted to, personal encounters you want to talk about?
I do, but not off the top of the head. I kind of want to get into what we do with Logan when we went out hiking.
Yeah,
those are really interesting.
I didn't mean to stop talking there and not answer your question. But, I mean, I've had lots of stuff go on with me. I mean, in terms of Bigfoot, and in terms of answering your question earlier, do you draw a line? Where do you draw that line? You know, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, that's my simplest answer for any of this stuff is I do not know. But I've had plenty of experiences with orbs. I've had 2 encounters, or 3 encounters of specifically that I can remember that are of notable that I believe to be a Sasquatch. And then ghosts. I've had one experience where I believe I saw what I thought was a ghost. And it was not translucent.
Wow.
It looked like a real boy. But I can go into one of those before we go into what Alex was just about to bring up. And that's what I talk about on Odd Virginia in the episode called Close Enough to Touch Sasquatch. I was hiking at 3 a.m. Here in the Blue Ridge Mountains in what's called Three Ridges Wilderness in the George Washington National Forest. And I was hiking specifically to hopefully have some sort of encounter with something strange. And, you know, I chose to do it at night and all that because I thought that might add to the statistics of me seeing something. And I don't have a reason for that other than that's just when it typically happens. But I went out there, got to the top of this second ridge of this mountain, didn't see anything, wasn't having any experiences. It was getting really foggy. I started, so I said, you know, to myself, I need to get back. and I started going back down the mountain, and I just do a wood knock, and like this wasn't something that I did a lot. I just had never attempted to use this method in terms of seeing these things. Probably because it's the method most commonly used on Discovery Channel and stuff, and I thought all that was hoopla. But I picked up a stick and I hit the tree 6 times, and instantaneously the Sierra sounds were 5 yards away from me. That was
like the samurai chatter.
Not the samurai chatter, but what I call the goose in distress. It's like whoop. I can't do it, but
that was pretty good.
Yeah, kind of like that.
That's crazy, man.
Much louder, lung capacity. Definitely, like you can, feel that. So, like I said on his show, I'll give it. It sounds physical as heck, but I didn't see anything run away. I didn't hear anything run away, and whatever made that noise, I should have heard run away, or I should have seen shadow, or a what's it called, silhouette, but nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's like that noise was just coming out of thin air.
And practically right next to you too, right?
Yeah. And that's the second time I've had that happen, where I thought a Sasquatch growled at me one time, and the same scenario just kind of seemed to come out of thin air. And it was a very strange sounding growl.
Yeah, that makes you wonder. Are they that stealthy that they were able to get up on you that close to you without you knowing, or is there something to the woo, the supernatural side? Was it this thing wasn't that close to you, or you invisible cloaking, or there's so many questions that we don't know the answer to.
Another thing I'll say,
natives said they have 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in the other.
Yes, the natives said they have this world and 1 foot in the other.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's kind of theorized that these things can.
I did a little meditating while I was up there, and while I was up there, I did a little meditating, and it's something that I'm trying to do anyways, just in general. But I've seen what people have seen online, and with Dr. Stephen Greer and the whole CE5 protocol thing, where you meditate and ask to talk to aliens, and they speak back to you. So this is where I'm going, and this is what my mindset was when I did this, and I just meditated, and I said, if you can hear me, I just said this to myself in my head. That's it. I said, if you can hear me, make me aware of you. And like I told Alex, it sure as hell did.
Yeah. I talked about doing that myself. When I go out in the woods, I talk to them in my head, just in case they can hear me.
Yeah.
I've noticed that Logan likes to employ meditation when he's out there on these excursions to try to connect with them, or at least set out his own little beacon.
I call it hypotheses. I'm just testing out different hypotheses.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting stuff. I love hearing good Bigfoot stories. We've got a few minutes left here, Alex. If you want to talk a little bit about what you wanted to talk about with y'all's hikes,
Sure.
what's going on out there?
So yeah, Logan, after telling me that experience on the show, asked if I wanted to go out and see the spot because I live about an hour's drive from where he lives. And so we ended up meeting there at the Three Ridges Wilderness. It's a trail off the AT called the Mahar Trail. And it didn't take very long for us to get to where he had this whooping experience. It was probably half a mile to a mile into the hike where he showed me the spot. And I wanted to see more of the wilderness. So we hiked in probably around 10 p.m. is when we started. So it was already well dark. Saw some pretty cool copperhead snakes about 3 feet long. That was amazing. And we get to this part, maybe about 3 miles in, where it's just stick structures everywhere, just everywhere. And of course, there's a big storm that had blown in about 2 weeks prior. So you want to keep that in mind while you're looking at these things, trying to analyze them. And could this be natural or could it not be? He kept saying X marks the spot. And everywhere we're seeing these sticks just cross like this or trees cross like that. Trees that are made into an archway over the trail and have something placed on the other end to keep them down. The crazy stuff. But a lot of it could be natural. But we saw so much other stuff that was like things made in a teepee formation. It was like when sticks are randomly falling, I don't think that's going to happen. So there was some like 50-50. Could be natural. And then, oh my gosh, that is definitely not. We keep on hiking in until we get to our camping spot about 5 miles in. And the first creek crossing is where it got really weird. So we're sitting there refilling our water bottles in the creek, and there's a light kind of peeking through the trees. And so I'm looking up at it like, that is that really peeking through the trees, or is it on this side of the trees? Like looks almost like it's in the forest. And he just says that's an orb. And so we're sitting there staring at it, and I've noticed that this is about a cantaloupe-sized, red, amber, glowing light ball of light, about 35 feet away across the creek, and about 15 feet up in front of the tree cover. And he said, "This thing knows we're talking about it right now." And as soon as he said that, the thing floats downward and gets behind the cover of the bush near the bottom of the floor of the forest. And I was like, "Whoa." I've never seen anything like that in my life. And he says he sees them pretty often. So, he knows what he's looking at, but I know I've never seen anything do that. Not a drone. You don't hear props, and we were close enough to hear props. No one's going to be out there around midnight flying a drone in thick woods anyway. And there were some people out there camping and hiking. But they were all pretty much asleep because we walked by some tents. And of course, now we've got Bigfoot on the brain. So we keep on hiking and see this light again just up a little ways out. And I'm like, maybe that's the moon. Just trying to brush it off as something totally natural because I don't know what to think at this point. And he's like, where? And I'm like, well, just keep hiking and it'll peek out behind the trees again. And that light never showed up again. So I saw it twice and then it was just gone. And still talking about Bigfoot, got it on the brain. And from the thick brush cover of this forest, I start hearing
Oh, wow.
shaking in my boots. This is close. I'm like, this is it. I'm finally meeting the big man and possibly soon meeting my maker as well. This is scary as hell. So doing what I've heard to do from other people who are in this field and know this topic pretty well, I call out to that sound and I'm like, it's okay. We're just passing through. No harm is meant. We're just hiking along. And Logan says the same thing. It's okay. And then I just hear someone go, all right.
Oh,
there's a guy camped out there.
Oh.
He must have been messing with us, or like we woke him up and he was frightened, but it was and I was like, holy crap.
That's funny as hell.
Yeah. Oh man, I was shaking for minutes even after he was like, okay, that's all right. I swore that was like my time to see the big hairy man, but no. So
Wow.
At this point, I'm like, okay, these things don't happen around me. I go night hiking alone sometimes. I've never seen anything like that. So I want to go out with Logan again because he does have these weird things happen. And if they're happening to him while I'm around, I'm seeing them too. So this is great. So we went again to a little place called the Humpback Rocks off of Blue Ridge Parkway, and meet up there probably around 8 o'clock at night. So the sun's well down. This is about a month and a half ago, and we meet at the trailhead, hanging out, and we look up at the starry night sky. It's beautiful up there. You can see every single star clearly, but there's one that's really low on the horizon, like right above the mountains, that is super bright, shining like 4 or 5 times brighter than the other stars. And I was like, man, that's a bright star. And he's like, no, that's probably not a star. Too bright, right? Yeah, you're probably right, Logan. So he's like, well, we're going to go hiking, but remember exactly where you see this light and then see if it's still there when we come back. So we get up to the top of the Humpback Rocks, hike's short, easy, sweet, and we're looking over the whole valley, just waiting to see if there's something weird going to happen, because he's doing his meditation and all that. And I'm looking down at the valley below, and you can see all the cities lit up really well. You look the other direction, it's just the mountain in perfect darkness. And we're seeing if there's any weird lights moving around. And we don't see anything. So eventually we just head back. After about an hour, we head back and start hiking back down to our cars. And we're just about to the parking area. And I heard something rustle in the leaves. So I point my headlight right at it. I want to see whatever that was. Might be nothing. Could be a squirrel. I just want to see what it is. And I didn't see anything. So I'm just hanging out and waiting for this thing to move again. And I see a yellow light. Looks like eye shine, about 3 feet off the ground. And I'm thinking that's a firefly, right? It's the same color, but it's not moving and it's not turning off. So it can't be a firefly. And then it goes forward a little bit, and I see the sweeping of what looks like probably a deer leg. I don't know. Is it that kind of white inner thigh color that they have? And then I don't see anything else. And I'm still looking at this thing. And then it's 2 eyes looking at us. So whatever this thing is, it's watching us, and it's not spooked by our presence, really. So we're just going to stand there, and we stare at it for about 10 minutes, and it sort of does the head bob, looks around at us, and nothing's really happening. Just like, what the heck is that? Really, really bright eyes. But even with our headlights on it, we can't see a body. It just looks like 2 floating eyes. Mm-hmm. We spend about 10 minutes. He's got a dog with him on this hike, too. That thing's going off, barking, row, 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 row. Thing doesn't move. I'm like, man, this is not getting spooked. We're speculating deer, bobcat, Bigfoot. What is it? We don't know. So eventually I'm just like, okay, well, should we approach it? Should we not approach it? Let's just leave it and walk back down. So we start walking back towards the car, and then it moves again. And I'm like, oh, I heard it move. So I look back, and there it is, still staring at us, just moved a little bit. I'm like, okay, now I'm so curious. I'm going to get close, and we're going to see what this is. So we are side by side, shoulder by shoulder, trudging through the leaves, and you can hear every snap, crackle, and pop when you're stepping. This is fall. So everything's fallen. The leaves are crunchy on the ground. You can't make a single movement without a rustle. And we're going towards this thing, and it should be about 15 steps to get to it. And as we're going towards it, it's getting further away, but it never turns away from us. Eye contact the whole time. But it gets further away in probably about 4 or 5 times the rate that we're moving. And you don't hear it move.
I used the term transferred.
Yeah, it kind of was like that. It was weird. It's like it doesn't look like it's moving, but it's getting further away at the same time. You don't hear it. You don't see it. Just those eyes. And then it's over the hill. It didn't look like it's bobbing, like it's moving. It's just in that same part of your field of vision the whole time. It was so strange. So it freaked us out a little bit, but it wasn't like a scary feeling. It was just like, what the heck? What did I just witness? We get back down to the parking area talking about this now the whole time. Like, thought nothing was going to happen. Something kind of weird did happen. So, Logan, you're 2 for 2 for quote unquote paranormal experiences on our night hikes. And then I'm like, oh, right, that star. Where is it? I remember exactly the direction, the mountain that it was over top of. There's nothing there anymore. It's gone. So we don't know what that was either.
Wow.
And I want to point out just the significance of what he's trying to say with he's never seen anything. He's never had an experience before. Man's been in the woods plenty of times. He goes hiking once with me, sees an orb.
Yeah.
Well, it's
That
like
sounds
some
done-
people are just conduits for this stuff. They just
It seems
attract
that way. I've done pretty much all of Virginia on the Appalachian Trail by myself. Just a solo hike from north to south, and I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
So what do you think? And what do you think the orbs are? There's a lot of speculation about that. What's
Tons
your
of
opinion?
speculation.
Mhm.
I think that this is either a device in which the wild man of the woods can view through, or possibly traverse that environment as. Possibly. I've got no real concrete reason to believe that, other than I know that they're often seen in conjunction with one another, highly correlative. But they could be separate phenomenon. I don't know.
But I like
I'll
that
also
answer.
note
Yeah, it's a great
that
answer.
I know these things have been recorded throughout history in terms of sightings, but in my history, I didn't start seeing them until 2015, which is when I graduated college. So there's no significance to that year other than I graduated college, came home. But the woods that I was seeing them in didn't change. I grew up in those woods, didn't see them growing up. So that's the only thing I'll note. But once I started seeing them, I couldn't stop seeing them. So there you go.
Well, it's interesting to me because me and Zach, when we had first started dating, like 2 decades ago, we would go up to the Blue Ridge Parkway, and he's going to kill me because I can't remember the name of the overlook. But we would go up there instead and just talk and get to know one another. And, it's this vast, just massive trees. And we never saw anything except for one night. He said, it looks like somebody is standing at the edge of the tree line down there. And of course, I'm like, shut up. Are you serious? Is there somebody watching, this stalking us? Because at that point, the Bigfoot was the furthest thing from my mind at that point. But that's the only weird thing I've ever seen, being in the Blue Ridge, on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yeah, well, they're definitely out there.
Yeah, they are. Alex, if you would, here at the end of the show, take just a couple minutes here and tell everybody where they can find you. Just anything you want to promote.
Sure. Well, yeah, just the show Odd Virginia. Check it out. You can see it on YouTube. ODDVA or VIRGINIA. We're also on most of the major podcast platforms. There's about 20 some of them, but your big ones would be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, things like that. You can find us on any one of those if you want to. And it's all just eyewitness experience from Virginia. And sometimes we'll tell some historical weirdness within the state as well. And there is a lot more of that coming down the road. Right now, it's mostly eyewitness experience because that's what I like. I want to hear other people's stories and have them share their stuff from their own, from the mouth of the horse, or however that saying goes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't done so already, send us those links, any links that you want to share, any social media or
Sure.
anything like that. And when I release the podcast, I'll be sure to include it.
All right.
All right, Alex and Logan, thank you guys very much for taking the time to hang out. I know it was a little tricky for you, Logan, but I'm glad you hung in there and got to share some stuff.
Yes, I'm so glad y'all came.
Proud to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you guys are wonderful, Wayne and Tiffany. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks.
All right, guys, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Very cool. How cool was that? That was cool.
Yeah, very cool. Couple of good guys. I hate that we had the issues with Logan, the echoing and all that stuff, but that's just part of it. I'm glad he was able to come and hang out and share. It just makes the editing a little bit harder on me, but I'll get to it.
You just got to work harder for that paycheck, buddy.
I guess so. All right. You got anything before we get out of here?
Nope, I sure don't. Just come back on Saturday evening at 10 p.m. because we are going to be bringing back Paranormal Paradise. And if you guys remember from the last show, he had this haunted doll in the back. And you guys, I went back and I watched that video. I watched the whole entire episode. As soon as we start talking about this doll, zoomed in on her, and I've got to tell you, she does move. It's slight movements, but she does move. So they'll be back. He'll be back Saturday.
Can't wait to get another look at that. Maybe she'll get up and curtsy or something this time for us.
She'll make it a little more obvious.
Yeah. All right. We got to get out of here. I got a toddler in there screaming for me, but I want to remind everybody again, if you can help us out with the $1.99 memberships, we would appreciate it. Give us a Christmas present.
Oh, yes.
But other than that, guys, thank everyone for coming and hanging out and your questions and comments. Love you guys. Thank you so very much for all that you do. Y'all be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And we'll see you Saturday. Bye, guys.
Bye.